Hi, it's Dwyer. Today is July the 26th, 2017. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. In this video, I'm going to talk about just updated betting props regarding Mayweather-McGregor. I'm also going to talk about some cryptocurrency because some of my subscribers have followed me over to my crypto videos and are asking about certain things. Then I'm going to talk about really one of the more important fights for boxing's future that's taking place at heavyweight between Gerald, who in my opinion was spanking Deontay Wilder, right? Just winning round after round when he fought for the heavyweight title, and he's facing Big Baby Jarrell, right? Brooklyn's finest. Well, before we get into all that, let's backtrack to the Mayweather-McGregor fight. I'm not kidding when I say that the best bet in the world of boxing, in my opinion today, counting all of the fights of which I'm aware, is Mayweather by KO at a -154. Right? Understand the odds on the Mayweather-McGregor fight are so crazy right now. Right? Mayweather going off at a -602, McGregor getting a +400. They're so crazy right now. They're so short that did you know that the odds are longer in the title unification match between Julius Ngannou and Terence Crawford? It's crazy. Think about it. Ngannou is a bigger underdog, even though he has a boxing title, in a unification match, than is Conor McGregor in his first boxing match against one of the all-time greats who's unbeaten. Folks, to quote Johnny Cochran, it makes no sense. None whatsoever. I know McGregor looked great at these pre-fight press conferences, etc. I'm sure McGregor, who has lost multiple times in MMA, I'm sure McGregor is a showman who's had some success in MMA. How's he going to go from being barefooted to wearing boxing shoes, from not wearing boxing gloves to wearing boxing gloves, from being able to use his feet to not being able to use his feet, from 5 rounds to 12 rounds against Floyd Mayweather? It's crazy. You're not even getting compensated for a lucky punch by McGregor. Because if Ngannou wins his fight against Terence Crawford, you'd be getting a better rate of return. And guess what? Ngannou's a professional prize fighter. Right? He's a professional boxer. So the McGregor numbers are crazy. I just had a lengthy conversation with someone. My morning's a little bit odd here. I was in court, hearing got canceled. I'm now making videos, letting off some steam. But earlier today, I spoke with a McGregor fan whose prediction on the fight is McGregor in 7 rounds. So I'm talking with him and I'm thinking to myself, what is McGregor gonna do differently than Marcus Maidana, than Emmanuel Augustus, than Ricky Hatton, then Jose Luis Castillo? Didn't all of these guys have the big idea against Mayweather of bum rushing him, of trying to bully him? Is McGregor really going to throw punches from weirder angles than Marcus Maidana? You want to talk about punch? Didn't Maidana drop Adrian Broner? Didn't Maidana drop Victor Ortiz? Wasn't Ricky Hatton's nickname Hitman? Folks, you know what happens when you bum rush Mayweather, right? Ricky Hatton got stopped, folks. Right? Look at the Diego Corrales tape. Diego Corrales got stopped. Right? So, after telling me his thoughts that McGregor was going to be able to bully Mayweather, I heard that McGregor might be able to rope-a-dope Mayweather. Understand, the rope-a-dope was really a one-time thing in a big fight in boxing history. Had George Foreman, then the champ, just stood in the middle of the ring and waved to Ali to come fight him, to get off the ropes, if Ali refuses, he wouldn't have done enough to take Foreman's title. Right? Floyd Mayweather is not going to spend his wad putting up with a Conor McGregor rope-a-dope. All he has to do is stand in the middle of the ring and motion to Conor McGregor to come fight him. I got news for you. If McGregor turtles for most of the fight, he's not going to take Floyd Mayweather's unbeaten streak with him. Right? You have to beat the champ, and make no mistake, I know neither guy has a belt right now. But really, the burden's on McGregor to prove to us that he deserves the win. On a slightly different note, I know McGregor's been getting ripped by a great show, the Colin Cowherd Show, right? Let me point out that Cowherd's sidekick should really be the co-host, Christine Leahy, because she says that show repeatedly. She's the one talking common sense. Well, anyway, Cowherd's latest rant against McGregor, and I agree with Cowherd that McGregor's going to get slaughtered, but his latest rant is to say, hey, McGregor gave away too much in the negotiation. Right? Cowherd's completely missing the point here. Understand. Right? This is a boxing site here. If McGregor gets a lucky punch, if he beats Mayweather, because McGregor is following boxing rules, he will have snapped Mayweather's unbeaten streak. McGregor is fighting not just for money, he's fighting for legacy. If you're the person who pops Floyd Mayweather's cherry, folks, you're a boxing immortal. We'll remember you 20 years from now, just like we remember Buster Douglas from more than 20 years ago for beating prime Mike Tyson. Right? And so McGregor has decided, first off, the numbers are great. If you're in any negotiation and they start telling you numbers north of $25 million, you need to think about signing the contract, don't you? So McGregor's compensated. So now if you're Conor McGregor, aren't you going to think in terms of, okay, I'm compensated. Now let's take care of history. I want all I could get, not just the money. I want the glory. You don't get the glory in some hybrid event. You don't get the glory if you're allowed to wear, MMA gloves. You don't have to wear boxing gloves. If you're not wearing boxing gloves, if Floyd Mayweather has to fight barefoot, then it's not an event that's going to have credibility with the boxing crowd. If you beat Mayweather in a hybrid event, well, that's not a boxing event. You don't snap his unbeaten streak. McGregor is aiming higher than that. Right? I applaud him for it. Don't get me wrong. I think it backfires on him. I think Mayweather beats him badly. But I respect the guy who, in going for history, is going to keep it real. Right? No catch weights, no BS. Right? Let's keep it real. I'll fight by boxing rules. Right? But just be warned. If McGregor beats Mayweather in a boxing match, right, we're going to have to put up with the fact that he would then become an integral part of the Floyd Mayweather story going forward. Right? All right, now let's shift gears. Just some brief words on cryptocurrency. Right, to subscribers, you can in the comment section say, hey, he starts talking crypto here, he ends talking crypto there, for the boxing hardcore that only wants the boxing part of this video. Let me just say this. Right? They asked Willie Sutton, why do you rob banks? And Willie told them, because that's where the money is. Right, folks? The money is on these online cryptocurrency exchanges. When you use an exchange for a transaction, do yourself a favor. Take your money off the exchange. Right? The hackers who are trying to rob banks, so to speak, are looking for deep-pocketed exchanges. You don't want your money in the exchange when it gets robbed. Trust me, more exchanges have been robbed than we care to talk about. I had some money in an exchange that got robbed. Right? You want to have a wallet that you can deposit your own cryptocurrency in. Right? Let me also say this too. As you shop for wallets, if any outfit wants to hold on to your private keys, you need to tell them, sorry, but homie, don't play that. Right? My point to you is, would you buy a house from a developer who said to you, hey, I'm going to hold on to a set of your house keys just for safekeeping because I'm a good person? I don't know about you, but I'd say, what? No. Not having it. Right? The only person who should hold on to your private keys is you. You don't want to show up one day and have your furniture gone and everyone saying, we don't know what happened, knowing that you let some third party have the keys to your house or the keys to your safe. You need to think of cryptocurrency the same way. Right? If the wallet outfit wants to retain your private keys, you need to keep shopping for a different wallet outfit, don't you? Right? Get your money off the exchange. Let me also say too, if you want to buy Bitcoin from one of the better Bitcoin dealers, right? I personally use Coinbase. I find Coinbase.com to be credible. They're not paying me money for this. The reason I'm just offering this piece of advice, and once you have Bitcoin from Coinbase, you can then send it to an exchange, change it into whatever your dream is, right? Dash, whatever, right? Monero, whatever. Then you can do whatever transaction you want to do, right? If you're involved in these Ethereum ICO things, right? ERC20 tokens and stuff like that. If you're buying, and I am, things like Veritasium, which I think deserves a hard look, right? Then what you can do if you need a wallet is to go to ouretherwallet.com, right? Again, ouretherwallet.com. Read up on it. There you can actually store all of these ERC20 tokens, right? So you can literally store all of the tokens that you've bought on these ICOs, right? Let me also point out too that if you're going to buy Veritasium, figure out how to use, and it'll take some time, but figure out how to use Ether Delta, right? You want to Google it. You want to make sure you're in the right place. You want to study that site. It's a decentralized exchange. You want to figure out the differences between centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges. You'll find that you're saving a lot of money on Ether Delta. You'll find that you have many more options on Ether Delta once you get past the learning curve on using it, right? And as I like to say, you're going to make far more money on cryptocurrency than you are sports betting if you pick the right cryptocurrency. The world is changing fast. Now let's talk about a very important heavyweight fight that's taking place that somehow is flying under radar. Now, I personally thought, and I said so here online, that Gerald Washington was a live underdog, and I mean live underdog, against Deontay Wilder. And he came out and literally shut down Wilder. Now, let's face it, knockouts cause amnesia. Nothing seems to wipe memory better than a knockout or TKO, right? For the record, I thought that fight was stopped prematurely. I'll give Wilder credit for landing some big punches that did knock Gerald Washington down, right? I thought the referee didn't seem to understand that in boxing you get a chance to recover. But that's my own gripe, right, as a gambler. But let me say this. What I want people here to do is to look at the CompuBox numbers. Forget my opinion. Look at the CompuBox numbers. You're going to see that Wilder was so outthought in the match. He was so outprepared that he could barely throw punches those first few rounds. This is a guy who, you know, is an unbeaten heavyweight champion with a greater than 90% KO ratio. Right? Gerald Washington was this close to the heavyweight championship. And I'm sure people in Gerald Washington's corner realize that, one, the fight was stopped prematurely. Two, if he had just done a few things differently, there's no way Deontay Wilder would have been able to catch him. Well, now he's making a mistake in my eyes. He's fighting big baby Jarrell Miller. This guy is easily one of the most important people in the heavyweight division if he can deliver in this fight. Right? The underdog needs to win this fight to be the factor he could be. Now, in the comment section to this video, in fact, in the description section, I have posted a link to an interview of Jarrell Miller where Deontay Wilder calls in to taunt him. And let's just say it's clear to me that in this corporate era, where these heavyweights are as boring as could be, right? Is there a line from a single Vladimir Klitschko interview that you remember over the years? What about Anthony Joshua's interviews? When you hear him speak and stuff like that, is it the kind of interview that stops traffic, or is it the kind of corporate-friendly, rehearsed interview that is really intended to sell you, headphones and stuff like that, right? Let's face it, the athletes today are politically correct, right? They're afraid to taunt other people, right? In the sport of Jorge Paez, in the sport of Ali, right? These guys are afraid to call other guys bums, right? Maybe it's a sign of the times, but let's just say the interviews today sound like they're from the boardroom, not from the ring, right? Well, enter Jarrell Miller. Understand, this guy is the best interview in the heavyweight division, right? First off, he's fast. Whatever is said, the guy can respond in a moment's notice, right? He is coherent. This isn't a Tyson Fury interview where Fury starts talking about things that are a little bit off the grid, a little bit blue, right? No, Jarrell Miller is really an Ali type guy in terms of talking about fights and opponents and stuff like that. You'll hear that yourself in the link that I leave in the description, right? He literally tells Deontay Wilder, look, you're a bum. You give me a shot at your title and you won't have a title. You can talk whatever you want to talk here on this show, but we both know I'll mess you up, right? This guy, if he wins this fight, and I think he does, right? I'm rolling with the underdog here. If he wins this fight, I think this guy who's unbeaten places himself firmly in the center of the heavyweight division. I'm not sure if his opponents even know how to respond to him, because the guy's a bit too real. The guy's a bit too well-spoken. Let's talk about why I think he wins this fight. Gerald Washington, to me, is one of the most mentally tough guys in the sport. Google his background. I've talked about him in other videos. But to me, at the highest levels, the sport comes down to angles. Right? Now, understand, Jarrell Miller, who is a kickboxer, just like Vitaly was, right, is a master at spacing and knowing when to be sudden. Washington, by contrast, to me, has a little loop on his punch and likes to keep you at a little bit of a distance. Now, you didn't see that in the Wilder fight, because Wilder likes to keep you at an even further distance. Right? Between the two of them, it was Washington who knew how to fight inside better than Wilder. Right? But just understand, Jarrell Miller, big baby, fights inside much better than Deontay Wilder. And he's big. How big? The guy is probably going to weigh 280, maybe even more, for his fight against Gerald Washington. I think this is a guy who's going to know how to get inside. He's 6'4". He's a ripped 280. Right? I think he's going to know how to go to the body. I don't think the angles match up well for Gerald Washington. Right? Also, let's be real here. I know these fighters want you to believe they're invincible. And I know Gerald Washington is mentally tough. But folks, he was unbeaten before Wilder and he suffered a loss. Suffered a loss in the biggest fight of his career. To me, mentally, that's going to take some time to recover from. The kind of opponent he should be fighting right now is a guy who's not going to get up in his grill, try to work his body, force him to fight 3 minutes of every round. But guess what? That's exactly the kind of opponent that Miller is. Big Baby's going to come in. If you believe in flashbacks, which I do, right? Being in a rut, being reminded of a bad moment. In my opinion, that's what's going to happen to Gerald Washington once Jarrell Miller gets inside. Both of these guys are serious competition for all of the champions. My point to you is this Miller guy, because he fights inside, because he's going to be able to cut the angle. In other words, Gerald Washington's going to be outside and he's going to be throwing punches like this, right? He can bend low and throw a straight jab, but that's his game. He's going to have a guy who's going to get inside that envelope, who's going to be bigger than him, right? Maybe not as tall, but certainly wider than him, and who's going to let his hands go. This fight, in my opinion, has upset written all over it. Right? The bet I'm recommending is Miller to win the fight. The underdog, hedged with Washington by KO. Let me point out, Washington fought a guy who was front foot heavy, who came inside and who threw a lot of punches. Right? Can't believe I am drawing a mental blank here on the guy's name. He's in his 40s. He's a shorter fighter. Washington had all kinds of problems with him. Right? All kinds of problems with him. I think this fight's going to present even more problems for Washington. Right? Because you're going to have a much bigger guy. Right? doing football moves on the inside against him. Let me also point out, too, that Miller has been a competitor for a long time. This was a world-class kickboxer. Understand, the guy who beat him twice gave Fedor all he could handle, broke Fedor's nose. Right? Think about it. So, I like Miller in this fight. I'm going to hedge the play with Washington by KO. Just be prepared for Miller to take over the PR part of the heavyweight division if he wins this fight and gains the credibility to do so. Anyway, that's how I see it. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section to this video. Miller, of course, background too in Muay Thai. He's a heavyweight you need to keep an eye on. That's how I see it. If you have comments regarding any part of this video, I hope you leave those comments in the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by.